My dear students, now it is clear to all of you that being an assessee, every company pay tax against income. As per report of the Ministry of Company Affairs, the corporate assessees contribute major share in the direct tax revenue of government in terms of corporate income tax. In this module, I would like to discuss various types of companies as classified by the Income Tax Act 1961. But before classification of companies, we should know what is company. As per section 2 subsection 17 of the Income Tax Act, company means any Indian company or any body corporate incorporate under the laws of company outside India, that is the foreign country. It is also known as foreign company. Any institution, association or body which is or was assessable or was assessed as a company for any assessment year commencing on or before 1st April 1970. So, such type of institution is also known as company as per section 2 subsection 17. Or we may classify the company as any institution or association or body, whether incorporated or not, and whether Indian or non-Indian, which is declared by general or special order by the Central Board of Direct Tax to be a company. Now, we have to classify the companies as per Income Tax Act. The Income Tax Act has classified the companies as Indian company, foreign company, domestic company, company in which public are substantially interested, investment company, widely held company and closely held company. So, as per Income Tax Act, we can see such type of companies which will be assessed under the Income Tax Act for their income. Let us explain one by one. What is an Indian company? As per section 2, subsection 26 of the Income Tax Act, Indian company means a company which is formed and registered under the Companies Act. It is very simple. The company which are registered and formed under the Companies Act 1956. It is an Indian company. But other companies may also be treated as Indian company if a company formed and registered under any law relating to companies formerly in force in any part of India, excluding Jammu and Kashmir and Union Territories. And in case of Jammu and Kashmir, any company formed and registered under any law in force in Jammu and Kashmir, and in case of Union Territory, any company formed and registered under any law in force in respective Union Territories. Any institution, association or body which is declared by the Central Board of Direct Tax to be a company under section 217. A corporation established by or under the central, state or provincial act will also be treated as Indian company. But remember, in all such cases, the registered office must be in India. This is the most important condition to be a company. Now, we have to know the domestic company. What is domestic company? It is also defined in section 2 subsection 22A of Income Tax Act. Domestic company is an Indian company and any other company may also be treated as domestic company if it fulfills two conditions. Number one, it pays the tax against its income under the Income Tax Act and it makes prescribed arrangements for declaration and payment of dividend out of such income in India. So, Indian company is automatically a domestic company, but any other company may be treated as domestic company, it fulfills two conditions which I have discussed, that is, it has to pay tax as per Income Tax Act in India and it makes the prescribed arrangements for declaration and payment of dividend out of such income in India. Now, you may ask me, what are the prescribed arrangements? What prescribed arrangements to be made by a company to become a domestic company? It has to comply three conditions. Number one, the share register of the company is well maintained at its principal place of business in India. Number two, the general meeting is held at a place within India to pass the accounts for declaring dividend. And number three, the such dividend is payable only within India to all its shareholders. So, we may say all Indian companies are domestic company, but all domestic company may not be an Indian company. Now, we have come to know the Indian company, domestic company. But what is foreign company? The company which is not a domestic company. It is also defined under section 2, subsection 23A of the Income Tax Act 1961. We can find another type of company, that is company in which the public are substantially interested. It is defined under section 2, subsection 18. There you can get 6 types of companies. Number 1, the company which is owned by the government or the Reserve Bank of India, or in which not less than 40% of shares are held by the government or Reserve Bank of India or a corporation owned by the Reserve Bank of India. This is one type. That is, we can say the company which is owned by the government or RBI may be treated as the company in which public are substantially interested. You can get another type of such company, like a company which is registered under section 25 of the Companies Act 1956 for the promotion of commerce, art, science, religion, charity, etc. And remember, this type of companies cannot pay the dividend to its shareholders. So, the company which is registered under section 25 of the Companies Act. Another type of company which may be treated as the in which the public are substantially interested, like a company having no share capital and is declared by the Central Board of Direct Taxes to be a company in which public are substantially interested. The Nidhi or Mutual Benefit Finance Society may also be treated as the company in which the public are substantially interested. What is Mutual Benefit Finance Society? A company which carries on as its principal business the business of acceptance of deposits from its members and declared by the central government as a Nidhi or Mutual Benefit Society under section 620A. So, such type of companies' principal business is the acceptance of deposits from its members. The another category is company owned by cooperative society, that is a company in which shares carrying not less than 50% of shares of voting power having been allotted unconditionally to or acquired unconditionally by one or more cooperative societies throughout the relevant previous year. So, such type of company is also known as the company in which the public are substantially interested. The another category is public limited company, which is not a private company. So, the public company, that is which is not a private company as defined under the Companies Act 1956, if it fulfills 2 conditions, it may also be treated as the company in which public are substantially interested. What are the 2 conditions? Number 1, the equity shares are listed in a recognized stock exchange in India as on the last day of the previous year, and number 2, its share carrying 50% of the voting power were beneficially held throughout the relevant previous year either by the government or a statutory corporation or a company in which public are substantially interested or any wholly owned subsidiary company. So, I have said here at least 50% of voting power to be beneficially held by these organizations, the government, it may be a government, it may be statutory corporation or it may be a company. But in case of industrial company, the percentage would be 40%. Now, what is widely held company? It is also recognized by the Income Tax Act. A company in which public are substantially interested is known as the widely held company. We have just discussed there are 6 types of company in which the public are substantially interested. So, these are also known as widely held company, and this opposite to widely held company is the closely held company, that is a company in which public are not substantially interested is known as the closely held company. The another company has been identified by the Income Tax Act, that is investment company. What do you mean by investment company? It means a company whose gross total income consists of income chargeable under the income from house property, capital gains and income from other source. So, these are the major classification of companies under the Income Tax Act. This is our concluding module for week 1. Prior to this module, you have learned the objectives of tax planning in module 1. In module 2, you have learned factors and methods. in Module 3 Corporate Planning and Tax Planning. It would be appropriate if you go through the e-text simultaneously with the lectures to understand subject effectively. I hope you enjoy the online learning. Thank you.